for Somaliland to be recognized, it will be the best interest of the United States of America, especially this time when we have got huge international crisis in the Red Sea and in the Middle East. Somaliland joining Abraham Accord, Somaliland becoming friend with Israel, it is the best interest of both of our country. That's what we believe.
This is East to West. I'm Sarah Martinez Amir, and today we turn our focus to Somaliland, a functioning democracy in the Horn of Africa, often overlooked, but increasingly vital to regional and global security. Though declared independence from Somalia in 1991, it remains unrecognized by the international community. And yet, Somaliland has maintained peace, held democratic elections, and developed key strategic assets, including the Beira port on the Red Sea. Now, as global powers vie for influence across the African continent, Somaliland is emerging as a potential game changer in U.S. foreign policy. Reports suggest that President Trump is considering recognizing Somaliland, a move aimed at countering Chinese and Russian expansion and strengthening the fight against extremist groups like Al-Shabaab and ISIS. Our guest today is Sultan Said Deria, the traditional leader of the Grand Isaaq Sultanate of Somaliland. He's a respected voice for his people and a passionate advocate for Somaliland's rightful recognition. He also supports the Abraham Accords, a historic peace framework that continues to reshape alliances across the Middle East and Africa. He brings with him a compelling vision that Somaliland, though unrecognized, is uniquely positioned to serve as a bridge between Africa, the Middle East, and the democratic world. Sultan Said Deria, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you, Sarah.
Recent reports suggest the Trump administration is actively considering recognizing Somaliland. Why do you believe now is the right time for the international community, especially the U.S., to formally acknowledge the country's sovereignty?
Yes, it is really very important time in terms of timing because of the Red Sea crisis, because of the geopolitics of the region, because of the Iran-Israel war, because of the Chinese and the Turkish, which are actually competing much faster than the U.S., and which are actually dominating Africa. And the U.S. actually are much, much behind compared to Turkey, or the Erdogan offered to take all the resources he can grab in Africa, as well as the Chinese. The Chinese, Somaliland is the only country that the China is not occupying. China is occupying the entire African continent, and they taking advantage of the infrastructure project. They invest in big time, much faster than the United States or the European put together. So I think it's the right time, and Somaliland can do quite a lot in terms of solving the security issue of the Middle East, wider Middle East, as well as the Red Sea, which at the moment, as you know, the United States Navy is fighting against the Houthis. So for Somaliland to be recognized, it will be the best interest of the United States of America, especially this time when we have got huge international crisis in the Red Sea and in the Middle East.
So tell me about some of the security threats the Horn of Africa is facing. You mentioned China, Turkey, and Russia, but can you also tell us about the terrorism that has been plaguing the region?
We have got a huge problem of terrorism, and actually imported mainly from the Middle East. We have got big problem from countries like Qatar. They are investing huge amount of money with these Islamist groups fighting in Somalia. And so actually we are, especially Somaliland, we are the only democracy in the Horn of Africa. And they are threatening us with the money they are getting from Turkey. Turkey, as you know, is run by the Islamist party. Erdogan is an Islamist party. They are connected with Muslim Brotherhood. So they are actually investing big time in the Islamist groups, which is similar to Muslim Brotherhood or somehow connected. So this terrorist organization, they want to destroy us. They want to destroy Somaliland because Somaliland stands out as the only democracy in the region. And time and again, we tell the Qatari government to stop financing these groups because they are destroying our livelihood, they are destroying our way of life, they are destroying our democracy, they want to make us like the rest of Somalia, which Al-Shabaab, the Islamic extremist group, which is very connected with the Hamas, and that they want to actually take our democracy and destroy our region and make us like the rest of Somalia. So for that reason, we are facing a huge amount of terrorism, and they are threatening our sovereignty.
You've expressed support for the Abraham Accords. That's in stark contrast to Somalia, which remains fiercely anti-Israel. In your eyes, why should Israel recognize Somaliland? What are the common threats that both countries face? You mentioned their Al-Shabaab and Hamas.
In Al-Shabaab, Hamas, Al-I'tisam, which is a political wing of Al-Shabaab, which is actually dominating the entire Somali region. They are now spreading to East Africa, country like Kenya. They are threatening Tanzania, which is East African country. So this group is, which actually is a big countries like Turkey is behind them. They are taking an advantage of the Middle East crisis, and they taking too much money from Qatar, from Turkey, from other international groups that support their way of life or their system. So because of the threat we are facing, Somaliland is facing, same the Israel is facing. And we are actually in the same boat, if you like, us and Israel, and the United States as well. Because as being a democratic country in East Africa, in the Horn of Africa, most of this region we are surrounded are not democratic. They are actually totalitarian, Islamist, fascist, or Islamofascist. So for that reason, we can have a security arrangement with Israel. We are actually at the mouth of Bab el-Mandeb, which is the Red Sea, where the Red Sea is entered. We control that water. It is our region. The Hutu is actually destroying our way of life, and they are destroying Israeli way of life. They are actually sending missiles to Israel. At the same time, they are stopping all the sheepish, all the commodity that come to our region. They are threatening our livelihood. So us in Somaliland and Israel are facing absolutely the same threat. So Israel cannot fight without us helping and supporting, and together we can actually fight against the Hutu, against this Islamofascists. So same as United States. The United States is spending huge amount of money to fight against these groups. So actually Somaliland could be a partner, and Israel and Somaliland can actually support each other, because we are facing the same threat. Israel is the only democracy in the Middle East. We are the only democracy in the Horn of Africa. Both of us are facing the same threat, same Islamofascist, extremist groups that want to actually destroy our way of life. So us joining the Abraham Accord, it will be the best interest of Israel to support this initiative. I am really sorry to say America, United States of America, under the Trump administration are much faster and understanding the situation with Somaliland rather than Israel. Israel is still support one Somalia or one Somalia policy, which is not the best interest of Israel. Israeli government should have to think again, because one Somalia is a fascist state. It's a failed state. It doesn't like Israel. It never like Israel. The Trump administration, some of the congressmen, Senator Ted Cruz, recently writing to President Trump and tell the president to recognize finally Somaliland. I think if Israel supports that initiative, it would be the best interest of Israel, because at the end of the day, Israel's security depends on the Red Sea and the Horn of Africa, the Gulf of Aden, where they can actually work together with Somaliland and create security systems that can make safe Israel as well as Somaliland. So Somaliland joining Abraham Accord, Somaliland becoming friend with Israel, it is the best interest of both of our country. That's what we believe. And that's what I was pushing again and again. But unfortunately, the Israeli government is still so far failed to understand the need to recognize Somaliland will be the security and the interest of Israel.
I'm curious to hear if your position encouraging Israel and Somaliland potential normalization is shared by others within the country's government and the general population. Are there others that believe both countries should unite?
Our people, of course, is a democratic, as a principally democratic country. We elect our president, we elect our parliament, unlike most of Africa. So they would be extremely happy to partner with Israel, with the United States, with Western country, because we believe democracy. We are the only country, Sarah, say no to China. No to China, because we don't believe the communism, and we don't believe principle of communism, and we don't believe principle of Islamofascist and extremist entity that want to take control in the global we are living.
There are reports that Israel is in contact with several countries, including Somaliland, about absorbing displaced Palestinians from war-torn Gaza. Are you able to give us a little bit more information about these reported talks?
In time and again, it has been asked the president of Somaliland when he was in Dubai if he actually will Somaliland take part and solving the crisis, the humanitarian crisis of Gaza, and accepting refugees from Gaza. The government actually and the president say again and again they have not been talking to, but if there is a communication, proper communication with the United States, with Israel, they will answer to that. And I strongly believe Somaliland can accommodate and can solve this, long-standing crisis in Gaza. And Somaliland has got huge resources, and in terms of land, in terms of accommodating, I don't believe that most of Arab countries can have that capacity. As you know, the refugee from Palestinian refugee are in Syria, they are in Bahrain, I mean, in Egypt, they are everywhere. But they are not in Somaliland. Somaliland accepting refugee, Sarah, from Yemen and from Syria. At this time, we have got a lot of refugees from Syria, and they're making a good life out of Somaliland. They are living very comfortable life, better than the crisis they are facing in their home country in Syria. If you go to Hargeisa, the capital of Somaliland, you will see Syrian family, you will see Yemeni family, escape from the war, living in Somaliland. So Somaliland can accommodate it, but what we need is a global cooperation. We have the Israeli government, the United States, the Gulf states, we have to sit together and sort out this diplomatically, and in terms of humanitarian ground, Somaliland can actually accommodate those people who actually want to leave Gaza. We can accommodate them, but we can only do that if the international community sees us as an equal partner, a country that can play a role in security, in humanitarian crisis in the Gulf, in Gaza. So we have to, I was calling international conference for Gaza, and I think fighting is not enough. I will not solve this problem in Sarah. The only way we can solve this problem is to sit down, and at least before we talk about politics in Gaza, who's going to rule Gaza or what, we have to think about the ordinary people and say, how can we get out these people, and how can we give them a secure life outside Gaza? Because at the moment, as President Trump said, Gaza is not a place where anybody can live in. It has been destroyed. It's gone. So people are sitting in levels. So if the Egyptian government, which the United States of America and Israel have got very good relation, as well as the Middle East country like Saudi Arabia, like Emirati, we can sit down together and say, look, Somaliland can accommodate this, but we need the investment, the infrastructure, the support, and we can provide a better livelihood and better land and resettlement inside Somaliland to all those people living in Gaza, whether they are 2 million or whether they are 1 million, 0.5, because we have got a huge amount of land, Sarah, which we can actually offer this. And at the end of the day, we are Muslim. They pray the same way we pray. They can come to us, they can integrate, they can live with us. And I don't see any problem. The Gulf states, the Emirati, the Saudi, instead of actually replaying the same story for the last 70 years, they have to realize the reality that these people cannot live on under war forever, and they must get some sort of accommodation elsewhere. And I think Somaliland can provide that. And the Gaza, people in Gaza, Sarah, they will be happy to come to Somaliland, but they cannot come because they are like in prison. They cannot leave. The Egyptian is not accepting them to run. I remember when we were running from the war in Somaliland during the Siad Barre government, what they destroyed in our country, we escaped to Ethiopia. We had where to escape. At the moment, the Gaza people cannot escape. The Egyptians are saying, no, you cannot come. Jordanians say you cannot come. So where these people can go? So the Egyptians, they have to sit down. They have to realize that we have to sort out this before we talk about politics, who is going to rule Gaza, whatever they are saying is nonsense. They have to call international conference for Gaza to sort out this problem once and for all. Somaliland will be prepared to actually give accommodation and accommodate this refugee, but it has to be the Emirati, Saudi Arabia, they go huge amount of investment they can actually give to Somaliland, and Somaliland can provide the land, they can provide the, if you like, in the financial support. And I think if Israel and the United States, especially President Trump, is got good relationship with Qatar, he has good relationship with Emirati. If the Emirati, Egyptian, Somalis Egypt is a recipient of American aid, billions of dollars a year. So if President Trump sits down with this government and say, look, let's sort out Gaza problem once and for all, exactly the way he's sorting out Ukraine, he can do that, and we can stop this war. The problem is the situation is stuck in the Middle East. The Arab Gulf states have no plan at all. What they have is the same old, plan they were keep saying for the last 70 years, and that will not work. What we need is a different angle. We have to look from humanitarian side of the issue, think about this poor people who are dying and give them refuge, and that is the only way they can be safe. That's the only way Israel can get safe as well, and security, to actually accommodate these people and give them settlement. The Arab country, Qatari, they have got the financial muscle to support this. And I think the sooner we have this conference, the better.
Sultan Said, thank you very much for giving us your insight today.
Thank you, Sarah.